Ladies and gentlemen of Ace Comic Con, please welcome Bill Bullard.
I like how there was like a brief, like a half a second pause where they're like, do we know who that is? I heard that. Hello, you don't. I'm me though. Hello, I'm Bill. Nice to meet you. How you guys doing, Ace Comic Con? Yes, yes, yes. I'm from Chicago. I live here. It's pretty cool. I'm glad I was asked to do this show, and I'm so excited to be here. Please give it up for me. I'm super cute. Hello. Do you not agree? You're wrong. I'm very cute. Oh, fuck. Okay, cool. I'm glad you're all here. It's very echoey in here, which is dope. Great way to do a comedy show in a cavern. Hello! See? It's really good. It's super fun. Yeah, man, I'm exhausted, though. I've been running around all day. You guys ever been, like, so tired that you, like, take an accidental nap in the middle of the day? You know what I mean? You ever taken an accidental nap, and then you wake up and you're like, damn it! I said stuff to do, and I still haven't done it, and now I'm just awake now, like, suddenly. Earlier, I took an accidental nap, and when I woke up, I was very mad at myself because I was driving. I was driving my car. I was driving. And the only people who were more mad than me were my two Lyft passengers. They weren't excited about it at all. It's cool. I do live in Chicago. I'm from here. Clap it up if you're from Chicago, if you're like actually here in the city. You raised your hand. I know I said clap it up, and then I raised my hand. I gave you the wrong instructions visually. It's okay. It's not your fault. I blame myself. But I'm from Chicago. I just recently moved. I moved from a bigger apartment to a slightly smaller apartment because of gentrification, which we won't get into. But you know when you move, it doesn't matter how big your new place is, you gotta get rid of some furniture and stuff. You know what I mean? You gotta get rid of stuff. Just makes sense. So I tried to sell some furniture on Craigslist. And I don't know if any of you have any of you ever tried to sell anything on Craigslist? Anybody? Like not buy anything, but like sell it? It's a nightmare. Because there's only two kinds of people who buy furniture on Craigslist. There are the people who want it a little bit and then don't want it at all, and the people who want it way too much. You know what I mean? It's two kinds of people. I'll explain. Here it is. I was trying to sell a bed. I was trying to sell my mattress, and it was a bad scene because there was the people who wanted it a little bit would email me with normal human questions and say things like, "What brand was it? Did you ever smoke in the bed? Did you ever have bed bugs?" Valid questions, legit, real, normal questions to ask. So I would respond in kind with legit, normal responses, and before I could send my email in response, they would be like, actually, I didn't need it. I bought a bed 4 hours before I emailed you the first time. This is how I get my rocks off. I just like to waste people's time on the internet. Or you get the people who want it way too much. Because those people, their email always starts with just a bunch of M's in the subject line, so you know they're just like, And then the font is all weird in the email, and it's just like, so, can you tell me what kinds of things you did in the mattress? Like, no, you can't have it. You want it too much. You know what I mean? Like, you want it too much. I'm not trying to get cloned. I know how this movie goes. Gross. I was talking to my friend about it, and I was like, why can't I get rid of this mattress? I have friends who are stand-up comedians, and they're scumbags. I don't know if you guys know this about stand-up comics. I have multiple friends who don't have a mattress and just sleep on a pile of their own clothes. Like, that's just what they do. They're not expecting to get laid ever in their lives, so like, why wouldn't they? And I'm just like, trying to sell them my bed for cheap. Wouldn't buy it. And my friend Sonia and I were talking about it, and she was like, well, just so you know, nobody that you know wants to be on something that they know you had sex on. And I was like, fair, fair, fair. Cool, cool, cool. That makes sense. But Sonia, you know we're sitting on my couch right now, right? Like, you know we're on my couch. And we're eating dinner on the coffee table that sits in front of my couch. And we cooked that dinner together on my stove. I had sex on all these things. Do you not understand? I had sex on every horizontal surface in my house. But the only one that at the time had a sheet on it that I have since removed, washed, and replaced with a different one, was the bed. So if you wanted to be somewhere that wasn't in immediate proximity with my sex life, the bed's the right place. No. Okay, so I want you guys to know, Ace Comic-Con, that just because I said I had sex on every horizontal surface in my house doesn't mean that I have a lot of it or that I am good at it. That is neither of those things is true. I don't. I'm not. I'm like, it's hard. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm not like can you tell by looking at me that I'm not like man's man? I'm not like, cock guy. You know what I mean? I know there are like small humans here, but like, you could tell by looking at me, I'm not like the most sexual being in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like the strongest at it. I'm not good at sex is what I'm trying to say. And I think it's largely like a perception thing. Like, I think there's a lot of people who like look at me, see my skin, and they're like, yeah, he's a beast in the bedroom. He's gotta be. And I'm like, no, I'm a sweet boy. I'm a sweet little boy. That's all I got. But often people will be like, so, what are you gonna do to me tonight? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know what are you asking for? And they're like, you know what I mean. You're so big and strong. You got those big, strong black arms. What are you gonna do with them? You're gonna show me something with your big, strong arms? And I'm like, well, the first thing I'm gonna do with my arms is I'm gonna take off my jacket for effect and show you how wrong you are about the size of them. I'm so skinny. Like, I'm not. I don't have big arms at all. Second thing I'm gonna say is we are already having sex. Like, we're already doing the thing that I had planned. Like, what else did you want? Like, did you want something special? Because all I had on the docket was in, out, in, out. Like, you're going to have to tell me if you want more than that. Like, I'm down for whatever. I'm a progressive person. Consent is sexy, but you really going to have to tell me if you want it. Because, like, I'm not going to. What if I was like, yeah, I'm just going to, just like, no, I'm instantly transported to jail. I'm not allowed to do that. It's so weird. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't want to, I will wreck you. Look, if you want me to come in like a wrecking ball, I will, Miley. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's going to have to be like some serious, we have to have dinner about it before I start choking. You know what I mean? Can't do that. Not that guy. I'm a feminist. That's true. Yep, nobody clapped. That's what I expected. And I understand, because you don't know if you can trust me. Like, I can't just say that. I can't be a human with a microphone who looks like this and just say, like, I'm a feminist, apropos of nothing. Because you might be like, the next thing that I say is like, yeah, I'm a feminist, but women do shop a lot, though. And then it's like fireworks and the word shopping appearing on the screen behind me. You can't trust men in this society to just say stuff like that, but I am. And like, it's important for me to talk about it because, number one, like, representation matters, and the more we talk about it, the more destigmatized it is, all that blah, blah, blah. But also, the patriarchy hurts me constantly. I don't know if you guys noticed from everything I've said before now, but like, I don't know, like, can you tell that I'm not like the manliest man in the world? Like, I don't get along with guys very often. It's weird. I just recently realized that I don't like to listen to men talk. Like, I know every woman in the room is like, yeah, duh. But like, for real, like, I just figured it, I'm just catching up. Y'all were right the whole time, and I'm just now seeing it. Bear with me. You know what I mean? Like, I walk down the street and I'll see a woman walking alone, and I can tell, I mean, that she is uncomfortable because she's walking alone. And I'm walking alone nearby her, and she thinks like, well, this guy might be like every other guy, horrible to me on the street. You know what I mean? Like, horrible to me. And I'm like, how do you tell somebody that you're not gonna like catcall them or harass them? How do you tell somebody you're not interested in that? You can't. It's impossible. Because when you're gonna, hey, lady, just so you know, everything's cool. I'm not gonna. You're already doing it. You see what I mean? Like, you're already doing it. I don't know. I try to keep it light. Try to keep it posy. Try to think about ways to solve problems. And I think I have a solution for gender inequality. It might not be the solution, but it's a solution. I think that we should, it's kind of radical, so you got to bear with me. I think that we should hang on, most men. I think should we kill most of the dudes? Like, why do we have so many men? Like, why do we have so many dudes? It's like 50-50 right now. That's like way more dudes than we need. We got forklifts and shit now. What do we need dudes for? You know what I mean? Like pick stuff up, put it over here. Yeah, look at me. Like, no. What do we need that for? I think we should live like lions. You guys know anything about lion? Clap it up if you know about Lion Pride Society makeup. Yeah. There's like one person who actually like raised their hand and was like, yep, me. I believe you. Like, I can tell by your swagger. But no, I researched it for this joke, so I'm going to tell you. Lions live in prides, which means like 20 to 30 adult female lions, a few adolescents, and one male. One. And it's not a harem. Don't get it twisted. He's not like in charge. It's not like everything the light touches is my, you know what I mean? It's not like that. It's not like that. He's like in danger of getting ejected at any given moment. If he screws up, you know what I mean? They'll scratch his face up and throw him to the Serengeti. He'll never get another pride in his life. You think that dudes would be at the club giving unwanted advances and slipping Mickeys into people's drinks and roofing people and stuff like that if they knew that for any woman they did that to, she had 30 sisters who were also at the bar all ready and willing to take him up to the roof and Mufasa him off the side? No. And the whole time they're carrying him up there, he'd be like, come on, ladies, take a joke, because that's what they say. It's like, come on, no, don't throw me off the, no, to Benya, and it'll be a better world. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, I gotta go, but I do want to say one last thing. Like, I don't like men talking to me at all anymore, mostly because they ask me how to be with the women that I'm with, and I'm like, why would I dilute my dating pool like that? No, get away. But also, they like draw dicks on everything. Have you guys ever been in any bathroom ever with men? There's penises on all surfaces. I don't understand why that's funny. But I met a guy one time, and he was drawing a penis on the back windshield of a car in the snow. And I stopped him, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, don't worry, it's my friend's car. And I was like, why is that making it better? And then he said, you don't think it's funny? Would you think it's funnier if I drew a vagina? And I was like, why don't we try it? And he stuck his finger in the snow. And that is how long he waited before he turned back to me and said, you know, I'm not 100% sure I know how to draw a vagina. I was like, that is what's wrong with all men. Okay, goodbye forever. My name is Bill. I'm going to bring up your next comic. How you guys feeling? Yeah, see, you're so much more energized now. I love it. I love it. Your next comic is a really, really good friend of mine. We've worked together for many, many years. You're going to love him. He's one of the smartest and funniest people I know, period. Just hands down. So please give it up right now for Peter John Burns.
Yeah, I know, it looks weird that we're friends, but we are. It's like we do our own Lethal Weapon cosplay. It works out. Except I'm the one who's too old for all of this. Hi, yes. You could probably tell from this getup and my general air of defeat that I am a parent. I have an 18-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old son. And a couple years ago, I suppose I should tell this story today in honor of National Coming Out Day. My daughter sat my wife and myself down, and she came out to us as a pescatarian. I had to look it up. That's a vegetarian plus fish. And I said to my wife, this is just a gateway to full-blown vegetarianism. And sure enough, you know, a year later, I have a vegetarian teen on my hands. Now, look, I respect alternative lifestyles. I get it. My daughter, she's skinny as a rail, healthy as a horse. A horse she would not eat, but nevertheless. So, and I understand that vegetarian is a more moral lifestyle because she keeps frickin' telling me that. But I can't go there, folks. I eat meat unapologetically. I understand that vegetarian is more moral, but you know what? It's too much like Protestantism. There are all these different divisions They all basically agree on the same rules, but have a total sense of moral superiority to the other sects, right? Are you a pescatarian, Presbyterian, a Lovo-Acto-Baptist, right? And I was raised Catholic. We're just like a monoculture, meat, right? There's a way that, like, as Catholics, like, we do horrible things, but we do them together, by God. And the other reason that I'm going to continue to eat meat is that I'm pretty sure, especially after all the things in the news this week, that we're headed towards some sort of ecological catastrophe, an apocalypse, if you will, right? I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I think we can all agree that the plastic recycling bins are going to outlive the civilization that spawned them, right? And by the way, all of our electronic stuff, that's gone like a fart in a hurricane once the apocalypse comes down, right? Future alien archaeologists are going to know us by what they find in the landfills, which means we as a civilization will be known by, like, Happy Meal toys, coffee mugs, and Crocs. That's all we're going to leave behind. That's our Stonehenge, guys. Just know that now. So sure, in a few short years, when, like, we've run out of oil and we're burning the bodies for fuel, and I'm eating my half-rotted turnip by candlelight, and the kids keep running in and out going, "What did fruit taste like, Daddy?" Then no, I'm not going to regret last night's steak one bit. And I think we all have a sense that this is coming, right? Because I noticed this, maybe some of you have as well. Like, every time I go into a restaurant these days, I find people increasingly obsessed with the means of demise of the food that's landed on their plate, right? We all hear these people, right? Excuse me. Is this salmon line caught or net caught? Because if is it Atlantic salmon or Pacific? You know what? I have an app on my phone. I'll just look it up. Which to me is just a sheer, like, perfect sign that, like, as we're going through our civilization's death rattle, like, we've entered the Kubler-Ross bargaining phase, right? Okay, one psych major. I see you. Okay, it's all right. So, I mean, and okay, I understand. Like, that's the one America, right? And the other America is watching hillbilly hand fishing and the deadliest catch, right? And those guys would shove a stick of dynamite up the ass of a dolphin and send it into a school of whale if they thought they could make a buck. That's the two Americas, really. But yeah, so I was in a restaurant not too long ago, a fancy one, because clearly, right? And they had antelope on the menu. Now, let's be clear. If there is an animal on a menu that I haven't eaten before, I'm totally going to eat that animal, right? Because what's left for me? Like, we're in the fourth quarter of civilization, right? I mean, 2-minute warning has sounded. We've scaled Mount Everest. We've been to the moon. But if I can eat everything that walks, crawls, swims, or flies upon the earth, that's my manifest destiny. I'm an American, damn it. And what more American thing is there than to eat everything? So I said to the waiter, "Tell me about this antelope." He said, "Sir, this antelope, it comes to us from the Neiman Farms, and it has been sniper shot." Sniper shot? Francois, while I appreciate you sending a special forces team to fetch me my dinner, must we resort to assassination as a policy? Do we not fear reprisal from the Antelope American community? And he explained this to me. The theory behind this is that the antelope is spending its life anteloping, or whatever goddamn thing it does. And then one day, the lights go out, right? It's shot from afar. It never knows what hit it. It just collapses. And so it's not spending the last minutes of its life in fear, running. It's not flushing adrenaline into the meat. And this lack of fear is supposed to produce a yummier antelope. No stress. Now, I have two problems with this theory. One is, I think I want fear in my meat, right? I mean, if I want to replicate the carnivore experience, right, I want it to know that I was coming for it, right? I think the taste of fear is why we eat meat in the first place. And the other thing that I don't think this theory takes into account is the yummier, It doesn't take into account the other antelope, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, I'll break this down for you. You're in the quarterly sales meeting. Phil from accounting is walking you through a PowerPoint up at the front of the room. You know, there's handouts, there's donuts, there's coffee. And then suddenly, Phil's head explodes in a shower of brains and bone. He drops to the floor like a puppet whose strings have been cut. And then, only then, do you hear the report of the rifle. You all dive under the conference room table. Millie from HR is making that high-pitched crying noise like when she was drunk at the Christmas party, said she was going to die alone. That guy from accounting, whose name you can never remember, he's pissed himself. And your boss, Steve, has clawed his cell phone out of his pocket and is screaming into it to his wife, begging that the kids remember that Daddy was a good man. And in the middle of all this chaos, two guys roll up in a golf cart with a pickup bed on the back, gray coveralls, names on a little oval, cigarettes dangling from the corners of their mouths. They make no eye contact with any of you. And they drag Phil, his brains leaving a trail on the industrial carpet of the conference room floor like H.P. Lovecraft's giant pet snail. And they throw him into the back of the cart, his head lolls, and they drive off. And this happens at your workplace several times a week. Now, I ask you, is this a low-stress work environment? Ladies and gentlemen, that's not really why I'm here. I actually have been snookering you because I've been trying to get you at your ease so I can give you this message, because I've come here to tell all of you that you need to stop going to the most evil site on the internet. And I know there's a bunch of really sick ones out there. I don't need to know your browser history. But there's one website that's more evil than any of the others. Ancestry.com. Because Ancestry.com is where you go to find all the things that your forefathers didn't want you to find out. You want to find out that your great uncle spent time in a VA hospital for shell shock, or that your second cousin, once removed, met his wife in a house of ill repute, or that, I don't know, your grandmother gave up a mixed-race baby for adoption in the 1930s. Ancestry.com. And I'm just talking to the white people here, because only white people go to Ancestry.com. Because everyone else knows that shit gets grim in a hurry. And only white people think they're special enough, right? Only white people go to past life regression. I was Marie Antoinette in a previous life. You were not. You were a 19th century tubercular baby that went early. Look, here's how you know you're special if you're a white person. Is there a Roman numeral at the end of your name? No? Then no. Because that means you're not a king, a pope, or a wasp. And all these people have their histories written down for them. They don't need to go to Ancestry.com. Look, here's the history of white people in America. I'm going to save you some time. Your great-grandfather grew up in some Eastern European hellhole where he worked in a dirt mine. And every week, he got to take home a medium-sized potato and a handful of gravel. The medium-sized potato he had to share with his 11 brothers and sisters, and the handful of gravel was for throwing at anybody that tried to steal his frickin' potato. And when he learned there was a magical land called America where he didn't have to sleep on a mattress stuffed with dysentery, he ran out of that Eastern European hellhole you're trying to rediscover as fast as he could. And that name you're trying to reconstruct so you can finally have a beer mug with your family crest on it, that he thought so little of that he let them saw the last 3 syllables of it off at Ellis Island like a Civil War soldier's gangrenous green leg. Then he met your great-grandmother, because she came from the same country, they spoke the same language, and she made that dish that smelled like feet. They moved into the tenements where they had hot and cold running lice, and then they had your grandfather. Now, your grandfather was like a cop or a barber or something like that. He worked on his feet. He hated people. You know, your great-grandfather, when he came to this country, got a job in a dirt factory, so that was an upgrade, but it was still a crappy job. Your grandfather, the cop, had a slightly less crappy job. He married your grandmother, and then they had your dad. Your dad had a pretty good job. He was like an executive vice associate. You were never really sure. Now, he always claimed he wanted your grandfather's, crappier job because that was more blue collar, but that was BS. because your grandfather, the cop, never got a weekend cabin in Sheboygan or a sailboat on his salary. They moved you out to the suburbs where there was no ethnicity whatsoever. I mean, you had to be white. And then they had you poor, sad millennial SOB, they had you. And you work at Groupon, which means you have a crappy job. Time's gone backwards. You're drinking PBR, a drink that your forefathers would have spurned. You're thinking you're so excited because you're part of hookup culture, but you don't understand that your parents in suburbia have had a standing strip twister date with the Johnsons down the cul-de-sac since the 1980s. And let's look at your job. It's destroying and ego-crushing, but you have endless rivers of coffee and cloth-covered cubicle walls. When was the last time someone lost a foot making a spreadsheet at your job? Probably weeks. Which means your crappy job is the kind of crappy job that your great-grandfather would have sold your great-grandmother into sexual slavery to his foreman at the dirt factory in order to get. Because your great-grandfather was an asshole. And that's why you don't go to Ancestry.com. That's been the history of white people in America, and I've been Peter John Burns. Thank you very much. And now I get the honor of introducing the person whose name is on this show. So you probably already know who he is, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. He's a man who's been on network television. He's a man that's got his podcast called Nerd Poker that you really should listen to, where they play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's a lot of fun. And then he's got a book coming out called Forever Nerdy. Please give it up for the very funny Brian Posehn.
Hey, thanks, Boba. Boba Fett, you guys. I was clearly guiding her up here because she can't see shit through that helmet. So I'm just like, come on, Boba, we'll make this happen. Keep it going, you guys, for Pete. And one more time for Bill. I'm happy to be here. I won't get political up front. I will say that the last couple of years have been really weird for me, from my perspective, because I'm an old nerd, you know. And I grew up on 80s movies and comic books and heavy metal. So the last 2 years are super weird to me, because now that Biff from fucking Back to the Future 2 is our goddamn president. This old nerd didn't see that shit coming, you guys. Biff got the almanac, man. I see some parents and kids in here. Sorry, I jumped right into the F-bomb. I didn't even warn you. But now you've been warned. I'm going to try to keep it relatively clean for the young nerds this evening. But that's not even the weirdest thing to me about the last couple of years. Besides Biff, another weird thing is that I suddenly like Star Wars and Metallica again. Never thought that either one of those franchises would win me back, but they both did. They're both doing good work. But the weirdest thing to me about the last several years, personally, is that I now find Spider-Man's aunt attractive. I figured that would go over here. I don't think I need to explain this to anybody, but I will anyway. Spider-Man was my first obsession. I got into Batman and Star Wars and Jaws and all that stuff after that, but Spider-Man was the first dude that I was totally obsessed with. And I've always looked at nerdiness as obsession. Like, we don't like things passively. Like, we get super, super into them. And as a kid, I was so into Spider-Man. I loved the art of John Romita. I loved the villains. I loved the Vulture. I loved Green Goblin. I loved Peter Parker. But I fucking hated Aunt May as a kid. I'm sorry. She was a bummer, you guys. In the old comic strip, she was a fucking bummer. She was this skeleton-faced old lady with the hair bun on the top of her head. the way Romina drew her, just chasing poor Peter Parker around their tiny, shitty apartment, going, "Don't go into Manhattan. There's that menacing Spider-Man." She's such a dumb dildo, you guys. She literally had Spider-Man living in the room next to her, and she had no fucking idea. And now Marissa Tomei plays her. Marissa Tomei plays Aunt May in the movies. And I'm 52, you guys. Marissa Tomei is still super shit hot. Now my boner sense is tingling because I want to bang Aunt May and I don't know what to think of the world anymore. I'm like, what is happening? And don't get me started on Superman's mom. Oh my God. Diane Lane plays Ma Kent in the movies now, and my wiener's like, what's happening? I'm like, I don't know, wiener. Maybe we're about to whack it to Ma Kent. Thank God they killed Pa Kent off, so it's not weird. It's still weird. I'm trying not to look at the kid and his mom while I'm talking about. Believe me, that joke gets dirtier too. I went light for you guys. I don't want to traumatize the poor kid with his mom. My mom took me to see Animal House when I was 10 because she thought it was going to be about a house with animals. It wasn't. I knew it wasn't. They should have called it Tit House because that's really what it was. But then my mom wouldn't have taken me. Oh, are they showing the kid? I'm so sorry, you guys. I'll focus on other people for the rest of the show. But please enjoy. That's really as filthy as it's going to get, I think. Moving on. Oh my God. It's just, yeah, people are fanning themselves. It got awkward in here. I'll make it less awkward. I lost a bunch of weight recently. Yeah, I lost 70 pounds. And then I gained 25 back because of Trump and Uber Eats. But I lost 70 pounds, and the initial weight loss was super easy. All I did was completely change my lifestyle. It was so easy. But see, what I used to do is I've been a road comic for a long time, so what that means is I eat like crap on the weekends. Like I get to a comedy club and I do 2 shows generally, and so I get off at like midnight, and what I used to do is get off at midnight and get high and then eat whatever random crap was around like a stoner gremlin. Now what I do is I'll get off stage at midnight and get super high, and I'll go to the hotel gym, which has been great for me, but terrible if you're a lady using the hotel gym at 1 in the morning, and then I shuffle in. This happened. It was 1:30 in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I get back to the hotel, and yeah, you heard of it. Hotel or Indianapolis? So I get back to my hotel in Indy, and it's 1:30, and I'm kind of wasted in there. But I'm like, I'm not gonna eat. I'm gonna use the hotel gym, and I head down to the hotel gym, and I don't know this till I'm walking into the gym. But well, first I take my comedy shoes off, and I put my running shoes on. But I'm dressed like this because I don't give a fuck, and plus Lululemon doesn't come in this size yet. They won't even let me in that store, the Lululemon yoga store. They're like, get away, troll. So I head into the hotel gym, and I don't know this, but the lights are set on a motion sensor. So this poor woman had been working out alone in the dark for a little while. I walk in, the lights kick on. I'm now blocking the doorway. And I actually said this. I said, don't be scared. You guys, I'm almost 6'7" when I stand up straight. You cannot be Jason Voorhees size. Sneak up on a strange lady and say, don't be scared. And expect her to still not at all be scared. It was like she didn't even hear the words I used. She skipped scared, by the way, and went straight to fucking terrified. And I felt awful because I saw her scream. I didn't hear it because I had my headphones on. Seeing somebody scream is weirder than hearing it. I've done both, and I can tell you, just seeing it, way weirder. She's just like, oh, not again. So I got to get on, there's 2 treadmills in the whole building. She's on one, I want to get on the one next to her. And the reason I couldn't hear her is because I'm listening to death metal on my headphones, a little band from Florida from the 90s called Obituary. Anybody? That's all right. Woo, this guy. So I head in, and all she hears when I get next to her on the treadmill is, I'm like, hi. And the tension was so thick, I wanted to break it. I almost said, hey, I'm wearing running shoes. But then I realized what you're realizing. That sounds like way more of a fucking threat than I wanted it to. I'm wearing running shoes. Try to get away. Look at my long limbs, lady. You'll never escape my grasp. I learned my lesson. I'm never going to chase a strange woman through a hotel parking lot wearing Timberlands again. Strictly Asics and Nikes for this giant troll. She had 25 minutes left on her treadmill, and I think she was like, oh, got my heart rate up high enough. I'm going to cruise out of here before this monster eats me. And you guys, she smelled delicious. Monsters got to eat. One of my least favorite parts about getting older is like you lose your heroes, like all these, not to be depressing, but like as I've gotten older, all these artists and writers and actors and musicians that I love have been dying off, right? I'm a wrestling fan. Any wrestling fans? Right on. The rest of you, fuck you and whatever fake sport you enjoy. We like wrestling. I've liked wrestling since I was a little kid because I like to watch any sport where a dude my size takes his shirt off and messes around with other dudes my size. It's a sport. It's my favorite sport. It's the sport of champions. And we've lost some great wrestlers in the last couple of years. We lost Dusty Rhodes. We lost one of my favorites, Rowdy Roddy Piper. We lost Hulk Hogan to racism. He's not dead. You just shouldn't like him anymore. He's kind of a gross dude. And if you didn't know that Hulk Hogan was racist, like if anybody in this room was surprised that Hulk Hogan turned out to be racist, you've never looked at Hulk Hogan. That's what racism looks like, you guys. That dude looks hella racist from a long ways away. Like you could see that dude coming over the horizon with that shitty mustache, and you'd be like, yeah, here comes an old racist gentleman. We're in yellow and red for some fucking reason. That's what racism looks like. I grew up in Northern California, so little non-racist bubble. I grew up in Northern California, and I wasn't raised by hippies. I was raised hippie adjacent, though, and I've always used the values that I was taught by my hippie babysitters, just to kind of not judge other people and just treat everybody fairly. And now I live in Los Angeles, and I feel like I don't know the rules in Los Angeles. There's all these extra other rules that I don't understand. I feel like I don't fit in Los Angeles for one main reason, and that is that I own a purebred dog, and I'm pretty sure they're illegal in Los Angeles because I get shit for her all the time. And by the way, if you're rescue people, that is awesome. I love rescuing dogs. I have 2 rescue dogs, and I've rescued cats forever. Yeah, because why would you buy a cat? Do you know you can just take them from other people? It's true, you can walk into a stranger's house and take one of their cats. 1, be cool about it. Don't get all greedy with their cats. They always have multiple cats. And if they're home, just ask them which one. Go, hey, can I take Fatty? They're like, we call her Chubbs, but yeah, go ahead. Come on, Chub Rock, you're coming with me. You're my new free pal. And my rescue dogs are awesome. And I rescued my purebred dog from a breeder. I paid $1,200 to rescue that dog. Get that dog away from this crazy lady. Have you ever met dog breeders, you guys? They're out of their minds. The only thing worse is a cat breeder. Oh my God. Crazy and useless. Thanks for nothing. So I got the rescue dog. I got the purebred dog, and she's a Bernese mountain dog. If you're not familiar with the Bernese, she's a beauty. She looks like a Saint Bernard, but fluffier. She's like a teddy bear come to life. Her name's Mavis. She's a very sweet lady, and I take Mavis everywhere I go, and usually people love her. But at the dog park, I get shit. I don't know why this happened. So I'm walking in the LA dog park with Mavis, my majestic, purebred beauty. And there's this woman with her 4 shitty monster dogs running around all crazy and unattended. And the woman sees me and sees my dog, and she starts judging me. Now, I've looked like this for a little while, so I'm super used to being judged. And I cruise in, and she sees my dog, and she goes, "Did you buy her?" And I go, "Yeah," because that's how I talk to strangers. And she goes, "Oh, well, I don't acquire dogs. I friend them." What does that even mean? I unfriended the shit out of her, by the way, with my eyeballs. Because I also have 2 rescue dogs. I mentioned a minute ago. You know why I didn't bring them to the dog park that morning? Because they suck. They're terrible dogs, you guys. I can't take them anywhere. There's a reason somebody got rid of my rescue dogs. I inherited their bullshit. And don't get me wrong, I would take a bullet for those dogs. Not as many as I'd take for the pretty one. That's right, you get all the bullets, sweetheart. My rescue dogs are jerks. Well, I just lost one. I've got to adjust this bit. But a week ago, I lost my old friend. He was a 16-year-old male basset hound. His name was Ernie. He was awesome. And I talked about him before because when we first got him 16 years ago, my wife was on the toilet, and Ernie came in and licked her downstairs. Not like a lot, nothing gross, but just like once, but then ran out of the room. And it caused a rift in our relationship, you know what I mean? Like, I found it hard to trust him after that. And I don't know what kind of weird shit he and my wife had going on the last 16 years. And that dog, Ernie, he used to shit everywhere and piss everywhere. That's not true. He did not piss outside. He pissed everywhere inside. But I'll miss that dude. And we got a 3rd dog. We got a King Charles Cavalier. Fancy dog, very fancy dog. This dude, my wife knew, spent $3,000 on this dog and had her for a year and was getting rid of her. And that drives me crazy. I was like, why? Why is he getting rid of her? What's he doing? And my wife goes, he says she tries to hump everything. And I was like, well, that can't be true. Let's get her. It's true. The dog's never owned a dog wiener in her life, but she walks through life like she's got the biggest dog wiener you've ever seen. She's King Charles Cavalier with a Great Dane cock and wiener, or cock and balls cock and wiener. What's that? That's something new. And she will indeed try to fuck anything, a pillow, sleeping baby, it doesn't matter. And it's an aggressive act, you guys. It's like hard to watch. And I always have to go, sorry, she's a rescue. She's out of her mind. I've had people get mad at me about the rescue joke, but it's clear, you know, they're my rescues. I love them, and I'm making fun of them, whatever. And I've gotten in trouble. So I was in Portland, Oregon, and I love Portland, Oregon, but they can be weird about things. And I was at this restaurant, and I'm eating this apple pie, and it was one of the best apple pies I ever had in my life. And so I say to the hipster waitress lady, like, what kind of apples are these? And she goes, oh, they're rescue apples. We don't buy apples or grow them. We wait till they fall from a tree and we rescue them. I'm like, that's called stealing. She's like, no, it's rescuing. It's totally rescuing. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. That didn't really happen. but I feel like it could, right? Especially in Portland. That's why I wrote the joke. Now, normally I never do that. Every joke I've done, at least tonight, has come from a real place, but that was one where I thought of, and I was like, screw it, I'll do it. Now, here's where it gets real. I was in Portland, Oregon last October with a buddy of mine who's from up there, and before the show, he goes, hey man, are you gonna do that rescue apple joke here in Portland tonight? And I go, I was thinking about it. He goes, just so you know, that's a real thing here now. Portland, Oregon actually has rescue apples. Fuck me, you guys. It is apparently impossible for me as a dumbass comedian to think of anything too fucking stupid for Portland, Oregon to have. Rescue apples, oh my God, that is the dumbest hippie hipster bullshit I've never heard of. Like, I was so proud of myself when I pulled that on my butt. I was like, ha ha ha. Rescue apples. It's impossible to think of anything too dumb for Portland. Here's 3 in a row. Cruelty-free bacon. It's suicidal pigs. We fill them full of whiskey and we show them Babe. They love it. If it takes a while for the drugs to take effect, we show them Babe 2, Pig in the City. That one's even better. That poodle's a real scene stealer. And bacon soaked in whiskey is delicious. Hey, what about a kazoo cover band that just does hair metal songs, and they're called Motley Kazoo? Real thing. What about a food truck that just sells omelets, and it's got Kanye West's face on the front, and it's called Omelet You Finish? Dumb idea, but topical. Kanye's and crazy's in the news again. Wow. I got that book coming out, Forever Nerdy, and I talk about like all the stuff that I got obsessed with, you know, but I also talk about bullying and how I got picked on. And like sometimes people don't believe that I got bullied because they're like, you're huge. But I didn't turn huge till after high school. Like, I grew 8 inches in 1 year, from 18 to 19. I had literal growing pains, like American Werewolf in London shit, and just, rah! And I grew into fucking Hodor. If I'd have been Hodor size in high school, I'd have been putting bullies through walls, like, who'd you call a faggot? Hodor! Like, I got my ass kicked. Like, I would have saved other nerds. I just would have been running through the school. Hodor, Hodor, Hodor. I got my butt kicked because I looked super nerdy, but I also had a smart-ass mouth. I had a bowl haircut, glasses, braces, headgear, puka shell necklace. Puka shell was my fault. Everything else I can blame on my mom. But nope, the puka shell was me. Like, I'll be a nerdy Jeff Spicoli. No, you will not. I got in a bunch of fights. I got beaten up by a girl in front of everybody, and then I got beaten up by the special ed kid, and I just let him hit me, and he had a Space 1999 lunchbox, and I'll never forget, he was just hitting me with this lunchbox, and I just wanted to go, I like Space 1999 also. Like, I'm the only one here, and you're beating up a possible friend. But the best was, or the worst was, my nerd fight. I had a nerd fight that went down legendarily at my high school. My sophomore year, I got off the school bus, and I was going to fight my buddy Ian. I was the heavy metal nerd in my neighborhood, and Ian was the punk rock nerd in my neighborhood. And I don't remember what we were fighting about, but we were going to fight. And so we get off of the school bus, and it's going to be this thing, and everybody gets off the bus to watch the fight. And Ian and I put our glasses away, of course. We were both wearing glasses. We put our glasses in, and then we fight. But it was like the most awkward, dumb nerd fight ever. Just like a bunch of like awkward hugging and shoving and like, no, and like, stop. A lot of that. And I just wanted it to end. It was so embarrassing, and I was just humiliated while it was happening because everybody's laughing at us. And I'm just like, we're their show. We're this goofy show for these people. And then his glasses fell. And I'm like, this is how I end this. And so I just stomped on his glasses. They were my glasses. That is what I get for being an asshole and stomping on a dude's glasses. But the thing is, you're only going to find that story in a book about a heavy metal nerd who got to do comedy. Like Dwayne Johnson does not have a similar story in his autobiography. Never once did he get in a nerd fight and stomp on his own glasses. So at least I have that. Another quick true story from the book. I've never told this on stage before, but my buddy and I've done pranks forever. I grew up doing pranks. Like when I was a kid and I didn't have a lot of friends or any, I would go and prank strangers. I would go to a grocery store parking lot on my bike, and I'd put notes on people's cars saying I hit their car. And then I'd put the number to the local McDonald's at the end of the thing. And then I'd just sit on my bike 50 feet away and watch them walk around their car going, God damn it. So I always loved pranks. And like before we used to do phone call pranks in the 80s and 90s. So in 1994, we had a huge earthquake in Los Angeles. It's called the Northridge quake. And I lived in a building in the Hollywood Hills with 3 other friends, 2 other comedians, and a manager who was funnier than the other 2 comedians. And he was my buddy. The manager was my close buddy, Dave. And so we lived in this building, and on our 2nd floor was where our bedrooms were. And we realized after this earthquake that if we shook our windows in our room, it would make it seem like there was an earthquake upstairs. So anybody that was in the 3rd floor, we could trick them by shaking the shit out of our windows. So Dave Chappelle from comedy, maybe you've heard of him. He was over at our house one night. Maybe we were playing video games. Maybe we were getting high. At one point, Dave was talking about, because he's from the Midwest. He's lived in, I think, Ohio his whole life. And he was like, man, I hate these earthquakes. These earthquakes are terrifying. And I hate all these aftershocks. I hate all these aftershocks. And he's being real with us, telling us how much he's been frightened by the earthquake. And me and my jackass friend, all we can do is go. So Dave's playing a game. We both scoot off. We go downstairs. We shake the shit out of our windows. We hear him scream. That voice, you all know, you're probably hearing it in your head. He may have said motherfucker, high-pitched. And so then me and Dave go back upstairs, but first we meet in our rooms and we're laughing, and then we go upstairs. Dave's gone. He ran down the stairs by us. We never even saw him leave. He went to the airport and left Los Angeles. I swear to God, I have not seen Dave Chappelle in 25 years. How's he doing? It's a totally true story. I have seen him since, but he ran terrified because me and my friend could not help ourselves like a couple of jackasses. Let me see how much time I got left here. Oh, that's cool. That wasn't subtle at all. What can I do that's not super dirty? This is tough. And then I thought of the most immediate, the worst one I could possibly do. So my son, how old are you, sir? 16. Oh, God, I feel so much better. He looks like he's 11. And I was just like, Oh my God. The shit I've been saying already. Okay, good. Oh, I feel way better. Sorry to make it awkward, but I will continue to because that's kind of what I do. My son is 9 years old, and we're making a little mini nerd. He's awesome, and he's nude all the time. That's become like a big thing, and he's nude, and he always runs around the house nude. The only reason the guy even wears clothes is it's required by law when you bring your child to California Pizza Kitchen that you cover their junk. If that dude could go full nude to CPK, he would. I get it. Who doesn't want to eat pizza with your wiener out? I totally get it. It's America. And this happened recently. I was in my office. I have a home office at the house there, and I was listening to some Ozzy Osbourne by myself. I love the Ozzy there. And I was listening to the third solo record, Bark at the Moon, title track. It's about werewolves. Werewolves are super kick-ass. Now, my son also enjoys Ozzy Osbourne because I've raised him right. And I don't know if he was on the other side of the house, fully nude, heard Ozzy, and came running in, or if he was on the other side of the house, fully clothed, heard Ozzy, got nude, and came running in. Because all I know is my side of the story. I was listening to Ozzy, guitar solo's about to start. Jake E. Lee, one of my favorite guitar players from the mid to late 80s, is about to rip some shit. And my son, on cue, pops into my doorway, super naked, and goes, "Daddy, wiener solo." Ripped it like a prodigy, you guys. Just whammy bar action. All that shit. I've never been more proud of anything in my life. I had a smile on my face and a tear in my eye. It was like seeing the Millennium Falcon again in Force Awakens. It was fucking beautiful. That dude's nude all the time. 3 years ago, he teabagged me. True story. Little baby nuts in mouth. Yep. Worst way to wake up, by the way. Also true. And just so you know, I've woken up some terrible ways in my 52 years of waking up every goddamn day. And just so you know, this is totally true. How I woke up is he was just trying to climb over me. Ugh. To wake up my wife. Swear to you, so they could wish me a happy Father's Day. The worst Father's Day ever. Father's Day 2015. Because you guys, when you wake up with your son's nuts in your mouth, it's impossible for that day to just turn awesome, you know what I mean? Like, that day's gonna be working with a deficit for the rest of his life, you know? Like, a Guitar Center gift certificate and Happy Face Dad pancakes are not gonna fix that day. My son will be 25, and I'll be like, "Thanks for ruining Father's Day, dick." He'll be like, "I don't remember." I'll be like, "I fucking do." And he's still my best friend. Recently, that was a while ago, but I was sitting on the couch, and I fell asleep watching wrestling. And my son was supposed to be in bed, but why would he be? He was also supposed to be wearing pajamas, but why the hell would he ever do that? And I wake up, my son is straddling me. His legs are here and here. He's rubbing his naked butt on the top of my head. I get it. I would do the same thing to you if you fell asleep watching wrestling at my house. It's kind of a rule. But it's a terrible way to wake up, you know what I mean? Like, I've woken up on fire before, true story. But this was weirder. And I just wake up and I figure out what's going on and I flip him onto his back. He's never looked happier about anything. He was just like, like we take him to Disneyland six times a year and I've still never seen him that happy. And you know that expression, asshat? Never made any sense till that moment. I was like, oh man. You guys have been a lot of fun, man. I hope you guys had a good time. I definitely did. I hope I didn't make it too awkward for you guys. Thanks